How much of our behavior is truly and genuinely us, or is it really just survival tactics and us trying to assimilate in this world today?
Blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with.
Welcome back to Black and Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Monet, where we talk all things politics and pop culture. Now, let me tell you, I am so excited to be doing this episode. I will not lie to you. I have been looking into this for a few weeks now, and it's taken me some time, but I felt like now was the time, okay? So originally, I kind of got this idea of talking about respectability politics when the whole debacle happened with India Irie and Young Miami. Because if you remember, the conversation online was like, India Irie is policing Young Miami, and you can't tell a young Black woman what type of music she can make. So there was all of this discussion online. And then when I looked into and listened rather to India Irie's explanation of what she was trying to say, I realized that there's a little bit of respectability politics coming into play. And so I was like, you know what? I really gotta look into this and explore this and see where it came from and why we do the things that we do. So I was off into my research, looking into it, fully understanding the concept and the idea of it all. And then more recently, I put out a video. If you haven't, please go check it out. It's the Tuskegee episode that I did about the dress code that they're having at the university. And oh my goodness, people on TikTok, I'm telling you, they get in their feelings so fast, and they were just letting me have it. And then someone in the comments basically said, like, this is a respectability politics thing, and like, you don't fully understand. And I said, whoa, if anybody understands, I understand, because I've been looking into this for weeks now. So that was like the urgency of like, okay, girl, sit down and get this episode done. Now, before we continue on, I feel as though people don't understand who I am. So allow me to reintroduce myself, because I don't think a lot of you realize I've been doing this for 6 years now. I'm still a very baby podcast. I totally understand, but I have been doing this for 6 years now. And so a lot of you aren't here from 6 years ago when I was in my mama's basement recording these episodes, breathing in mold and all kind of shit. You understand what I'm saying? So I need to bring you guys in so you understand what this here is about. This podcast is called Black and Classic. And I speak to Black people for Black people. I don't ever get on this podcast and talk to people as if I'm talking to white people. Never. I get on this podcast to talk to Black people. I get on this podcast because when I see you, I see me. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't ever get on this podcast as a way to talk about my community and measure them up against white people, right? They're not a measuring stick to me. They're not a ruler. They're not a grading scale, nothing. I don't ever compare my people to them. Quite literally, never. So when I get on this podcast, I'm talking to Black people about Black people for Black people. Okay? That's the whole thing with Black and Classic. Black and Classic is because classic is just a forever thing, right? That's something that'll always be there. It's stamped. We know about it. And Black will always be classic. Being a Black person is just classic. We're timeless. We're eternal. And I fully believe that. So when I have these different discussions and I'm bringing topics to the podcast, I'm doing that for the betterment of Black people, not to compare us to anybody, not to say, well, they're doing this, so that's what we should do. I don't give a what they're doing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying not to cuss because YouTube, they're very sensitive about that, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm more concerned about the wealth of Black people, the health of Black people, the emotional stability of Black people, the spirituality of Black people. I'm not trying to do that and then compare it to any other person other than Black people. So you should never, ever assume that you need to get in my comments and tell me about what a white person is doing, because I can tell you and I can guarantee you, I do not care, because I'm never thinking about them. Never. When I'm having a conversation with you guys about Black people, it's because I want us to discuss our problems, right? This is an in-house discussion. I'm not worried about what's going on outside. I'm talking to us about what's happening in our house so we can clean our home and we can get everything around here running smoothly. So please, please spare me. Now, if you want to have a discussion about how you feel about what I said as it relates to Black people, then we can do that. But people all down into the TikTok comments tell me how they went to a PWI and at a PWI they do this. Amazing. I went to a predominantly white high school. Yeah, I know what they do. I know how they dress and I know how they roll out of bed. I know what they look like. I know that they have shower days and they share deodorants and we just found out they don't wash their legs. Like, I know all that. But guess what? I don't care because I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about us. So when I have discussions, I'm talking to us, for us, about us. Never in a million years am I going to get up on this internet and compare myself to someone I don't think about. You got me? Okay, cool. Now, with that being said, I want to go a little bit deeper. What I am starting to realize as I do this and I watch other podcasts and things like that, I'm going to give you guys an analogy. Bear with me. You guys know I love an analogy. What I see is that it's almost like the Matrix, but like an amusement park, right? And I realize that a lot of Black people are looking for the acceptance of white people. And this is going to lead right into our topic, which is great, but they're looking for the acceptance of white people, okay? So they go into the amusement park and at the front, you know, at some amusement parks, you can buy a fast pass, right? And the fast pass, once you buy it, like selling out, it's going to take you to the biggest ride. You can jump the line and you can get your thrills. You understand what I'm saying? Then there's some people who are like, hey, I'm going to start in the shallow end. I'm going to do the kiddie rides, the small rides. I don't need to immediately jump to that, right? But it's all about playing in their world. And in their world, that matrix is a lot of Black versus white, us versus them. For me, what I want us to do, and that's what we're going to talk about in this episode, is divorce from that idea, right? Step away from the idea that it's us versus them and white versus Black and this whole civil war, like racial unease. Like, let's just divorce from that and focus on us. We genuinely do not have to engage in that matrix. We don't have to go to the amusement park. We don't got to try to get money, break bread with them. We can literally step away and do our own thing. And that's why when I do these episodes and I talk about, you know, being a community and bringing back a village and understanding the modern COINTELPRO and how they're using different people to engage us and to break down our community. When I'm talking about those things, it's because I want us to realize the things that are happening in this matrix and say, you know what? I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with you selling me these different things and telling me these different things and me just buying into it. No, I'm going to go and do something different so I can uplift and really change my community. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I just genuinely don't believe that we need to ever compare ourselves and or think I, for one, am going to get up on this here internet and compare myself to a white person. It's just never happening. I can guarantee you that. That's never happening. So if you're ever confused or if you ever feel like I am, run this tape back, right? Run this back and listen to it again, because I'm never doing that. I'm getting up on here to talk about Black people and Black people only. When I started this podcast, it was for Black women. And then I said, you know what? I can't limit it and I can't stop there. I did like almost, oh my gosh, maybe 30 to 50 episodes. And I was like, this is for Black women, this is for Black women. And I said, you know what, girl, no, you can't limit this just for Black women. Like, this is a whole thing here, right? Like, this isn't just for women. Like, no, like, this is a community thing. Like, the community needs to get on one accord. And that's the purpose. So please don't ever get to telling me about what white people do, because I don't care. Don't. So what is respectability politics? Now, respectability politics, it's the survival and the assimilation into the dominant culture. So it's kind of like, this is what this group is doing. And in order to fit in, be equal, be accepted by them, we have to change, right? Who we are, whether it's the way we dress, the way we speak, the things that we do, what have you, we have to change in order to fit into their world. Now, remember, I spoke about that even with Nolan Wells, right? I said that when you take a Black kid and you put them into a white dominant space, they're going to be forced to feel like they have to assimilate. They have to change. They have to change their tone of voice. They have to change the way they dress. They have to change their interests, right? In order to fit into that world. And so that is that survival strategy that we do in order to fit into the dominant culture, more specifically the white culture. And it's really to combat any negative stereotypes for social mobility, right? Even like in the corporate world, when you're in a job, you're in a space where it is predominantly white, you try to, a lot of people say code switch, you do these things in order to fit in. And it's about changing oneself, really, and alleviating that burden of being seen as the others and being like, no, I'm just like you. So you're looking for acceptance. You're looking for people to view you as an equal while you're stripping away who you really are. So a lot of people do it, again, to like minimize their perceived, I don't know, like personality, right? Like you see a Black person, you're like, okay, immediately they're this, and that. And it's just stereotypes. So you kind of switch who you are in order to change those stereotypes. Now, I saw a lot of this when I spoke about Tuskegee University. A lot of people brought up respectability politics, saying that, wearing a bonnet, wearing pajamas, and all of these things is trying to say that we want to be accepted by white people by saying be presentable. And to me, that's very jarring, because rejecting white validation or being like, I don't want white acceptance, so I'm just going to do what I want, doesn't require us to degrade ourselves. Okay. In order to prove that we don't care, we also don't have to degrade ourselves. We also don't have to show like that we don't care about ourselves in order to reject white validation. The two don't correlate for me. So I find that one of our biggest mistakes that we make is treating self-respect as if it's synonymous with seeking white approval. So for me, it's like, okay, I want white people to accept me. And in order for them to accept me, I have to do everything that is opposed to respectability politics, right? So if it's dressing presentable, then no, I don't need to dress presentable, because that means that I'll get white approval. And it just doesn't make sense for me. So if your identity is built on doing the opposite of what white people approve of, then you're still doing it and you're still being defined by white choices. And I really want people to sit with that and understand that, because when I heard it, like when I'm reading these comments about, well, white people do it, I don't care. I do not care what they do. I'm not having a conversation for them or about them when I'm talking about what we do and how we present ourselves to the world. When people bring to me that white people do it, or I'm making the statement because of white people, I understand that you are still defined by their validation. Even if you're rejecting it, that's still a gauge for you as to what you do, what choices you make, right? And I don't live my life that way. And I want us to stop living our lives that way. Don't gauge whether it's good or bad, right? Whether it's acceptance or rejection. Don't engage in either. Do what you want to do and what feels right for you and puts your best foot forward. You understand what I'm saying? So that's really where I'm coming from with respectability politics. And I don't know if that's off or people just don't understand that, or if they think that even in me saying this is trying to get white acceptance or something like that. It's not. Just genuinely, it's not. Let me tell you something. We're going to get real for a second. If I was really looking for white acceptance, do you know how many white friends I would have? I went to a predominantly white high school for long, long years. If I was looking for their acceptance, don't you know I would have a bunch of white friends? I have zero. None. I can't run you to nobody from my high school and say, hey, here's my white high school best friend. I can't. Because I was never looking for them to accept me in any form or fashion. So I don't need their rejection and I don't need their acceptance. I do what I want to do as a Black person in this world, and I present myself with so much pride in being Black. Period. And for me, that then lands me on having true Black autonomy. And that is so important to me. Black autonomy is so important to me. And it's not just like being rebellious for rebellious sake, right? Because a lot of times what you find is people are like, well, I'll wear my bonnet and I'll do this and I'll do that because can't nobody tell me nothing. And it's like, you're trying to be rebellious in a way that still is about rejecting them. Remove them from the equation and be autonomous over who you want to be. Now, I had that thought, right? Because again, originally I was thinking about Young Miami and Spin That and everything that was talks about there. And I'm thinking about respectability politics and I'm like, man, I'm so critical over Sexy Red. And I'm so critical over Sexy Red because, again, Black autonomy. I feel as though she has become a caricature of herself, right? Like originally, yes, that was your personality. That was who you were. But then you got the fast pass, right? If we're talking about that Matrix and the amusement park, follow me. You got that fast pass. They took you on a ride, you got your thrills, and now you just like cranked it up and became like a clown version of yourself, as opposed to being who you are authentically. You let a white man come in, or whoever these sit in these boardrooms, give you money and say, okay, yeah, keep doing it and amp it up and just keep going to the furthest extent of not being yourself now. Now you're no longer making music that is like true to who you are. You're like going, you know what I mean? Like you're really going there for absolutely no reason, as opposed to being authentic to who you are. Now, if authentically that's the music you make, then authentically that's the music you make. And that's why I appreciate Young Miami's song, right? When I was thinking about this, I appreciated that because way back in 2017, they were making this music. They were making this same music way back in 2017. Now, whether you like the music or not, it represented where they were from, their culture. That was their sound. That's what's happening. I even watched, people talk about the music video and saying like the music video was shot, at a club where like everyone knows locally, these are where the scammers be at and all this other stuff. So it's like, that's your culture. Booty Hole Brown and F my baby daddy and all this other stuff. And like, that's not your culture, babe. And all this coochie lip gloss and stuff and chlamydia lip gloss, that's not your culture, babe. You are just doing something in order to like, again, be a clown. Like, don't be a clown and shuck and jive for money. Be autonomous and say, no, this is my culture. And this is what I'm presenting to you. I respect that more, and having control of what you got going on, as opposed to being somebody's clown. Don't be their clown in their circus. Absolutely not. Not for no dollar. That's where I stand with it though. So for me, I don't care about being rebellious for rebellious sake, right? A lot of people's argument is, "Oh, that's just Sexy Red. That's just her." No. Mm-mm. You can't sell that to me at all. Never. If you want to be autonomous and make music that represents you, then do that. But doing all that other wild buffoonery, I'm not for it. So for me, when I'm discussing respectability politics and understanding, okay, are we policing or are we, defining ourselves? I believe it's really rooted in creating and understanding the values for our community, our own interests, and saying what we want, right? It's really a love of self. And when I say self, like I said in the beginning, like really when I was introducing the episode, when I see you, I see me, right? So when I say love of self, it's literally love of self. I don't want to see people doing things that I know isn't a love of self and not be able to call it out. If I can't call it out and say, "Hey, you like what you got going on there, that's not cool," then where are we as a community? You understand? Like, I don't know. I feel like we need to be able to have a love of self, and it should never become collateral damage in the pursuit or in the chase of rejecting white acceptance, right? Like, we should never, like I said, we should never degrade ourselves and just have no respect for who we are, no Black pride in order to say, well, F the white man. No, like again, remove them from the equation and focus on you and your own representation for your community. And so the goal all together, especially if we're looking at respectability politics and where do we go from here, with dress codes and music and lyrics and this, that, and a third, where do we go from here? Let's just stop centering whiteness altogether. Let's just remove it all together. Now, I want to kind of rewind, okay? Let's take it back a little bit from the beginning. So, respectability politics was coined by Evelyn Brooks Higginbottom in her 1993 book, Righteous Discontent. Sorry. Y'all know my words, they don't be coming out right. Now, what she described is that in the efforts of Black Baptist women in the late 19th, 20th century, they basically, again, changed who they are. They encouraged having a different temperament, being more Victorian, and doing all of these different things in order to be accepted in society. And so what she found is that they were trying to change their behaviors and their attitudes in order to fit in, especially as, like maids and servants and things like that. To fit into these homes, they wanted to change in order to be a part of these systematic structures and to be accepted by the people that they were working for. Now, for me, again, I don't need to be a part of these systematic structures. And that's why I talked about the amusement park matrix, right? Like, I don't need to kind of be a part of that. So when you're looking at it historically, I believe that, it meant us well for our ancestors, right? Like, it served its purpose, right? Like, that was a whole different time and it meant us well. I do believe at that time that was necessary for survival, strictly, right? I do believe that. However, historically, we have moved past that. We are well beyond that. Okay, like we are well beyond that. That was for protection. That was for, strategic value. So you can get employment, so you can have social mobility, so you can navigate, that segregation, all of that completely necessary. But now in 2026, we understand it's not ending racism and it's not going to produce any type of equality for us. So we can step away from that. Again, we're stepping away from either the acceptance and or the rejection. Okay. We're stepping away from both. So we're not centering whiteness as opposed to what Black people do in their own community, because we know, and history has shown us time and time again, that no matter how perfect your behavior is, how well dressed you are, how, your speech, the education, your diplomas, your degrees, how much professionalism you have, no matter what you do, in order to fit into their dominant culture, we're never going to earn equal treatment. Never going to earn that. So what we need to do is divorce the idea all together. So it does not matter what we do, what we produce, what we give them, what we show them. The reward is never going to be equality. It's just not. So we have to decide now, what are we going to do from here? Because even if we try to assimilate, they still don't see us as equals. This was the late 19th century she came up with this term. And we're still trying to be seen as equals for what? I mean, if you ask me, it's really about $1. Half the time, most of y'all want to be seen, and especially the acceptance piece, it's really about the money. You want that money, that fast pass, you'll sell out, you don't care, take me to the top, I want to get my thrills. You're not really concerned about what it means for the greater good of all of us. You're more concerned about what the bottom line is, and that bottom line is $1 in your bank account. And I totally understand if that's what it's about, but remove yourself from us, okay? Just go ahead and excommunicate from the group, okay? We don't need you in a group chat no more. You understand what I'm saying? Because over here, we're trying to get us all on one page. We're trying to put some accountability into the culture. We're trying to raise the standard for ourselves. And we have to challenge the idea, especially if we want to raise the standard, we have to challenge the idea that anytime we have a great expectation for Black people, that it is going to then mean that we have to have these respectability politics. No, if I say, hey, we should present ourselves in a different way to the public, that doesn't mean that I'm trying to be respectability politics. We got to challenge that idea. That's not what that means. What it means is, as a people, we should take pride in who we are, regardless of who the fuck is around and who is watching and things like that. Do it because we want to. We want to. When I see you, you see me, right? We here, we family, we in this together. We are a village. So when I come out strong, you come out strong. Don't degrade yourself and don't look like you don't have respect for yourself simply to be like, well, I'm taking a stance against the white man. Like, okay. So that's where I am on that. We have to have accountability so we can have a commitment to raising the standard for one another. That's what I want to commit to. That's what this whole podcast is about, is committing to raising the standard for us. Again, like I said, first, I wanted to raise the standard for Black women because I said, why the fuck are y'all behaving like this? And listen, I'm no better, but what I can do is be accountable for my actions and then pull y'all in, right? Pull y'all in and say, hey ladies, can we do better? I think we can do better, because here's the things that I'm seeing and I think we can do better. When I was calling y'all homeless shelters, when I was telling y'all they trash, when I was telling y'all are the problem and this is why these men act like this, yeah, I was speaking to you about me as well. Like, let us be accountable for us, irregardless of what any white person is doing. This is about us right now. What do we want? And one thing, side note, y'all know I love a quick little tangent. If you have not read the autobiography of Assata Shakur, I suggest you read that, because when you read that, you will realize, babe, it don't matter. And then you have all of the recent stories that have happened in our timeline of just the different police killings and the just recently, I can't remember the name. Please forgive me. My memory is not the best, but the recent killing from the Asian man, and he killed the young Black boy. And really, I believe it was his son. But anyways, that's a whole another story for a whole nother day. And, we see all of this and this isn't new. But what needs to be new now is us holding each other accountable, challenging that whole we're doing this for the white man, and making sure that we do this for each other to raise the standard for each other, because we know that we deserve better. We know that we have pride and love of self. That's the importance. Because ain't it funny how we know all these little Asian stores never fucked with us, okay? They be around every corner, peeking and hiding. Oh, you need how, we know they never fuck with us, but it took someone dying to be like, oh, let's boycott. We know these stores don't fuck with us, but it took Target getting rid of their DEI for us to be like, oh, let's boycott. We already know who don't fuck with us. So why does it take something crazy and drastic to happen to then say, let's boycott? We should have been saying fuck them. You understand? And then we should shop with Black business. And if we believe that there's an issue, okay, well, let's handle that in-house. You see? In-house, and let's discuss that. You get what I'm saying? Let's not wait until something happens to then want to boycott when we already knew from the beginning, because as soon as it happens, then everyone got these stories. Now everyone is on the same page about who didn't fuck with us. No, we knew that from the beginning. So let's not even make it about them. Let's do what we got to do to support each other, to build and to love and to encourage each other. But it all starts with accountability. If we cannot hold each other accountable for our own actions, then how do we ever grow? How? It's just not possible. If we're worried about the respectability politics of it all and still trying to assimilate, we're never going to grow. If we're trying to reject it so much that we inadvertently put ourselves down, then we're never going to grow. Once we divorce from both and decide to do it for ourselves, then and only then will we grow. So telling someone to value education, to value how they look, to value their health and their money and all of these things, that does not mean that they're trying to play into respectability politics. That means they're trying to have Black pride, be proud of themselves, love thyself. That's what that means, if you did not know. And we've reached a point where reinforcing respectability politics is now happening for the wrong reasons. We're doing it for the wrong reasons. We're bringing it up at the wrong times. When I'm talking about the dress code at Tuskegee, because I want young Black kids to take pride in what they wear, to take pride in their education, to take pride in their school, don't speak to me about respectability politics. I want them Black babies to have pride in themselves. And if you can't understand that, then we are on two different pages, and that's a problem right there in and of itself. And then there's a whole nother layer and nuance to this with social media, because social media has become its own form of like community policing and pulling people into the carpet. And it's not always because it's a harmful thing, but we're more worried about how it's perceived to the others, right? So every post is put on trial, right? Who's seeing this? What are they saying about it? How are they interpreting this? Again, worried about the wrong things. For me, when I see certain content, and I did make a post about this on TikTok, I call it humiliation posts. When I see humiliation posts as funny, I'm immediately triggered, right? Because we should not be humiliating ourselves for $500, $1,500 and things like that. You can make that same type of content without humiliating yourself. Stop being a jester. Stop being a clown. Stop being a fool in order to get some money. It's not necessary, especially when you have such a strong love of self, especially especially when you respect yourself and you respect your community, there's no way you're going to get online and do all this shucking and jiving. It's just no way. And I know a lot of people like to, oh, well, it's just content and COE, content over everything. I don't subscribe to that. I'm sorry. I don't. And that's why a lot of people, like, even with like Drewski, right? I, for the life of me, never found Drewski funny because it just always teetered on the line of like clown, right? Like real silly. Like I didn't find it funny. I don't find clown shit funny. I just don't. And so as his content started to be more of like a reflection, like here's what's happening in the community, here's what's happening in this community, here's what's happening in this community, that then became funny. And that's why I think he's seeing the success he's seeing, because he's become a mirror and a reflection, and you're able to laugh but also see the truth in it. That to me is funny. But when you have people half naked and pouring stuff on themselves or fighting for content and all that, oh no, I can't. I can't participate in it. I'm sorry, I can't. Not at this big age. Maybe when I was younger, I might not have fully understood, but at this age, no, I cannot get with it. All of that there. And it's one person I'm thinking of in particular. I'm not going to get on this again, right? I'm not going to get on this internet and like bash this one person, but it's like, please, like you must do better. Now, if you want to be funny and you want to play into it and be theatrical and things like that, I get it. But when you do things that you know is embarrassing, then we're doing the wrong thing. Just be funny. If you're funny, you can be fully clothed. Shocking, I know. But if you're funny, you can be fully clothed. If you're beautiful, you can make content without exploiting your body. Shocking, I know. And that's not to say I have anything wrong with SW, fill in the blanks if you can't follow, but I don't have no problem with that. Do what you got to do. But it's other people who don't want to be referred to as working in that industry, but then also want to sell their body. You follow what I'm saying? Anyways, I don't want to get too far off on a tangent. What I'm saying is we have to, what I keep saying, hold each other accountable. Honor yourself. Love yourself. Because we have to, bottom line, understand that we want to, as a community, thrive. We want to lead and we want to represent ourselves for us as the best version that we can. And speaking of represent, y'all talk so heavily about representation matters, but then, okay. But then y'all let people carry on like that and don't say nothing. And it's not to put people down, it's to pull them up. Because sometimes people don't know that, hey, I don't have to do this. You can do something different. That's not to talk down on anybody. I don't think I'm perfect and know it all. I know I don't. I know I don't know it all. But I also know that you don't have to humiliate yourself on the internet, be the butt of a joke in order to make some money. I also know that. So if I hold you accountable and say, hey, you don't really have to do that, then let's respect that. But again, some of y'all go so hard to reject white approval that you'll let anything fly without actually considering it's degrading yourself in order to what? Show that you are so against the white man? Please, miss me with it. Okay? Respectability politics is changing yourself for the acceptance of the white man. Self-respect is changing yourself because you believe that us as Black people are worth the effort. We're worth more. We deserve more for each other, for the next generation to come, for our kids and our kids' kids. That's what our ancestors did. They knew we deserve more. So they fought like hell for it. And then we come through, get this far, and then say to hell with it and get up here and behave like this. Are you serious? Like, really think about that. Think about how hard they fought. Water hoses, dogs, being shot, being killed, being whipped, being hung. And we get this fucking far and say, to hell with it. Let's get on this internet and humiliate myself so I can have a couple dollars in the bank. So TikTok could cut me a check. I'm not cool with it. I'm not cool with it. I'm sorry. Say what you will, but I'm not cool with it. And each and every time I'm going to call it out. So when I say don't wear bonnets to the classroom, that's what I'm talking about. We didn't come this far for you to go out in public and wear a fucking bonnet on your head. And if your hair's not done, hey, listen, I was the girl in college with a friend of mine. Hey, girl, I was in college. Hey, just buy me a pack of noodles and I got you. You need a braid down? Got you. You understand what I'm saying? You need a quick little soak? Got you. Find somebody on campus looking to do hair. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Find somebody to help you slick that thing back. But again, have some respect for your goddamn selves because you believe that you and I in this community are worth the effort. We're worth doing more for ourselves, to show up for ourselves. So many people died for us to get here and behave like this. Think about it. Just think about it. Because I get passionate behind my people. So I can't understand why you would ever think I'm comparing myself to a white person or doing this for white people acceptance. Are you crazy? I would never. I keep saying it because I'm so flabbergasted. I grew up around white people. Listen, let me get real again for a second, okay? Hear me out. A lot of people judge me because I like Candace Owens. And I like Candace Owens because I believe we kind of have the same message. Only difference is we take a different method of transportation. She take one way, I take the other. Somehow we end up at the same destination. That's really kind of, all that matters to me. However, in recent times, she has seen her method of transportation. Hey, us on this side, we was right all along. We was right all along. But either way, we had the same message. We had the same destination, just a different mode of transportation. You get what I'm saying? Now, had I not had the understanding that I don't want to be accepted by them, I would have been like Candace Owens. All white friends. I would have been preaching the praise of them people. That's what I would have been doing. But I don't. I get up here on Black and Classic and tell you about Black people so Black people could be better. That's what I do. Because I love us. I'm passionate about us wholeheartedly. I don't ever need to get up here and talk about no white person. You don't ever see me hanging out with a bunch of white girls. Never. Never. I just don't. Because that's not who I am and that's not what I'm about. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Now, if you aren't as passionate as me about Black people, I get it. Like I said, just exit from the group chat. Send your name in, we can remove you. This conversation ain't for you. This for the people who love us like I love us. And who is not centered around whiteness. None of this is centered around whiteness. None of it. That's why it's Black and Classic. It's nothing else. This is only for Black people, about Black people, for the betterment of Black people. That's it. As I wrap this episode up, what I really want to end on is something that's quite interesting to me. The one thing that white people seem to have over us is audacity. They have the audacity to be bold in their imperfections, to be bold in their averageness, and still so many of us measure ourselves against them. Not me. I will not. Because if we're being honest, right? And let's take this to like a versus thing, right? 20v20. Our best 20, their best 20. Who you got? You don't got to tell me. Just think about it. They are so audacious. They are cool in their mediocrity. And somehow we still treat them like a ruler. somehow we still gauge if we can compete with them. Why do we need to compete with them? It does not make sense. We should not perform in any way for their approval or for their rejection. We should be doing this because we know we are worth more and we love each other so deeply that we want to see the best for each other and for generations to come. Okay, so we have to develop standards that are rooted in serving our community in the best way possible. Not because this person's going to judge it and this person's going to accept it. No, because we judge each other against each other. So how I envision this, right? I think I might have touched on this in the beginning, but I look at the health of our community, right? The wealth of our community. If my community is doing poorly health-wise, I'm doing poorly health-wise. If my community is doing poorly financially, I'm doing poorly financially. If my community is doing poorly emotionally, I am doing poorly emotionally, and so on and so on. Therefore, in order for us to get better, someone has to step in with some medicine and say, hey, here's where we're sick. Let us get healthy. I'm not thinking about what the white man doing and rejecting what the white man got going on. I want us to be healthy. Okay, so I want to be committed to divorcing the respectability politics. I don't care. Maybe our new standard is that we want to wear bonnets. Hey, okay, that's what we deem to be regal and queen-like. Okay, but let's set the standard for ourselves. Let's not measure it against whatever the fuck anybody else got going on. Let's set the standard for ourselves. And let's be committed to that standard and raise that value for ourselves. Because our major goal, like I said at the top of the episode, is Black autonomy. We run this. We control this. Not no outside influence, not no puppeteer, not no amount of money. We run this because we say what happens in our community. We control our Black dollar. So if our Black dollar is going to Black beauty salons and Black businesses, then that's where it's going. But we can't have puppeteers and have people telling us what to do and tricking us with their money and their fast passes. And then all of a sudden now we're trying to police everything else. No, let's cut the strings. Let's exit their matrix and let's focus on bettering our community for us and loving ourselves and respecting ourselves for us and for the generations to come, because that, at the end of the day, is all that matters. If we're being honest, and if we really want to talk about it, that is all that matters. So we have to free ourselves from this matrix. We have to stop measuring ourselves. We have to stop trying to reject anything else because none of it matters. We know we're not going to earn their equality and end racism and all of that. Stop trying to fight their battles that they're creating and putting in our head. We know how they feel about us. We know. Cool. Now it's time to do something else. Step away from it. When you step away from it, watch how fast they be like, oh. Matter of fact, just go and read the FBI. I told y'all before when I did Modern COINTELPRO. Go and read the FBI files on this. And you will see they already been hip. And the more that they just play around will be the demise of our own selves. Unfortunately, if we don't get hip fast and divorced from that whole thing. So when some of us, like myself, get up here and we advocate and we're passionate about us, understand that it's not coming from a place of wanting approval. It's coming from a place of love. Only love. Because I love us and I respect us so deep that I want better for us. And if we're honest, we aren't mediocre. We aren't average. We aren't imperfect. We influence everything in this fucking culture. We are originators. We are creators. We are innovators. So how dare you ever get on this internet and think that we need to measure up against them? There's no way that you could honestly believe that. Not after everything we've created and after everything we've done, the things that they've given us and we've turned into gold. You think we need to measure up against them? Be for real. So, as I end this episode, understand we don't need permission to be ourselves. We don't need permission to have autonomy. We don't need any of their acceptance, and we don't need to reject them. We literally need to decide that we're no longer centering whiteness, and we're going to do this for us because we love us. And that's all that matters. And I'll leave you with this. The highest form of Black autonomy is pursuing what's good for us simply because it's good. Not for acceptance or because someone else is rejecting it. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Black and Classic Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Brittany Monet, where we talk all things politics and pop culture. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.